Hello, once again, this is Brother Teacher. As I sit here in front of you, uh, I am here for the purpose of dispelling some truth, some information that would possibly not be well received by some and welcomed by others. But it's just simply what it is, it's the truth. I come to realize throughout my lifetime that the truth is not always well received. It is something that exposes potentially bad habits and bad behavior that people have maintained and or had for all or most of their lives that they have become accustomed to and comfortable with. Nevertheless, it is the truth. We always want our children to be truthful to us. We tell little Johnny and Sally and Sue and LaQuisha and Randy, don't ever tell mommy and daddy a lie. Always tell the truth. You get it, right? So why is it so difficult for us to be honest with ourselves and to be honest with one another, daddy and mommy, for example, or with just society in general, but we expect it of our children? You see, that's a double standard. That is a contradiction and is very hypocritical. Either you believe in something or you don't believe in it. It's really that simple. So, as it relates to the truth, I'm about to disseminate some truth to you right now, and you can take it or leave it. You can have an opinion, but it doesn't make your opinion factual. You see, opinions are based on oftentimes a personal view and or bias. Opinions are not facts. If you were to ask your doctor his opinion on whether or not you should have the kidney transplant, and he says, I believe that you should have your kidney removed, you need another kidney, and you already have one, that is. I'm certain in most instances you're going to want a second opinion since he gave you an opinion, not being 100% sure. Now, he can say it's in my professional opinion, the way in which I see it as a doctor and all of the years of experience that I have, but he cannot nail it down and say definitively that you have to have this kidney transplant, in my opinion, which leaves some wiggle room, some possibility for possible uh, errors or mistakes. So I want someone to tell me factually. And if you can't tell me factually something, then just simply say that you don't know. Simply say that I don't have the answer to that. I haven't studied it. I haven't researched it. I don't know it well enough, that subject, and just walk away from it. But that's not always the case with many people. We would rather tell you something, or people would rather tell us something, just so it doesn't appear in or seem as though they're misinformed, uneducated, or have never been taught something. We would rather try to inflate our own ego and our sense of self worth by telling someone anything, hoping that they buy it and believe it. So, this is what I'm getting at. This video is still touching on the international pandemic that they call COVID 19 or coronavirus. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to think again. I want you to pull deep down within yourselves and think again and think for yourselves. Don't allow someone else to think for you. The mind is a terrible thing to waste. Use it. I implore you. So, here's where I'm at, and I'm going to leave you after this. Okay, they say, they meaning politicians, supported by so called doctors behind the President of the United States, Donald Trump, various other so called experts. They say that the coronavirus is an international pandemic and that it is wreaking havoc throughout the world. How is it, if this is true, that where it is alleged that where it began, which was in China, why is it that their numbers of fatalities and or deaths and contractions of this disease or virus, why has it diminished and it's under control? Now, it's at least 1 billion people in China. Okay? Stop. Think about it. Now, in America, we have about 327, 330 something million people. And from what I have heard, approximately 600 people throughout America have died of COVID 19. Approximately 600. Now, do you have to be a mathematician to figure this out? Look at the numbers, the contrast. 330 million people and only 600 people have died. Maybe 40, 600 people have died, and maybe 40,000 have had the symptoms and are contracted it. Okay? It just doesn't add up. But it supposedly is in all 50 states in the United States. How is it, listen to me, how is it that you shut the American economy down? How is it that you shut the economy down in the various states of America? Over 600 deaths. 600 people get killed at least every month in Chicago, the city of Chicago, Illinois. So, if we're losing 600 people in Chicago or even another state, where do you get the numbers from that would warrant that the whole country be shut down because it's such a contagion? Now, listen to this as well. That's one thing for you to think about. The numbers, 330 something million people in America, only 600 people dead. Okay, another thing for you to think about is this. I've heard, I've watched the news, and I've watched the governor of Ohio and the mayor of Cincinnati talk about law enforcement and medical personnel having to deal with potential cases of the coronavirus, and that the medical staff is underserved and undersupplied with masks, ventilators, beds in the hospitals, and gowns and rubber gloves and things of this sort, and that they have this push to try to mass produce these supplies, and they have priority over the people. I paused for a moment because I hope that you just read in between what I just said. The medical personnel, which is understood, need to be protected when you're taking care or giving care for people who have contracted the virus, right? Police, fire, emergency medical people should have protection as well. But why are the American people the ones that walk the streets, commute from work back and forth, who go out for entertainment, and who travel the roads to go and visit family and to have fun and leisure and shop in the malls and go and sit and eat in restaurants? Why are they not a priority as it relates to mask and gloves? What makes a police officer and a fireman any different than John Doe walking down the street or Sally Sue walking down the street? Why is the priority not to protect and provide for all of the people as opposed to just those in position or some public service position? I mean, if this is pandemic as they say, then we are all being affected because we are all human beings, men, women, and children. Correct? It doesn't add up. And also, why are our jobs being shut down and there has not been any relief given financially for those individuals, for those people who have lost their wages, their income, their jobs within the past 2 to 3 weeks? Why is it that this big debate and this battle has to go on in the Senate between the Republicans and the Democrats over a stimulus package? Why is there a debate and or an argument at all? Either we are in dire straits or we are not. Why is it that medication, pharmaceutical drugs, the so-called new virus vaccine, why is that more important than educating the people in our country to take certain safety precautions that could potentially help ward off the virus itself? Now, let me tell you what I mean. Case in point, it is a fact that the vast majority of people that have died, not only in America, but in other countries from the virus, have been elderly people. I'm going to say it again. The vast majority of people that have died as a result of the coronavirus, COVID 19, the majority of them that have died have already had a pre existing condition. Their immune system was already low and or compromised, which makes them susceptible to a cold, susceptible to the flu, susceptible to anything that is communicable in nature or by its nature. So why don't we teach the people, the government that is, why didn't they tell the people to start making sure that they consume vitamin C in large doses, which fights against what? Viral infections. It helps to build the immune system. And vitamin D3, which supports the vitamin C, and various other fruits and vegetables, and become more active as well while we are all going through this so called national pandemic. Instead, they're trying to sell us pharmaceutical drugs. Someone is trying to benefit financially from this disease. They're trying to make money from it by creating a vaccine. But note what I said a moment ago. They have already said that the vast majority of the people that have died were people with pre existing conditions, heart or cardiovascular, lung problems, emphysema, bronchitis, hypertension, and the list goes on. And they were much older people. They were more susceptible to the virus, and then it overwhelmed them, and death was the result. So if you tell people, take these precautions, start eating this particular way, instead of waiting for some god called a pharmaceutical company to give you a vaccine so that they can make billions of dollars off of the vaccine. Instead of doing that, tell the people that they need to build their own immune system up. I mean, don't we always preach that you have to eat a good diet if you want to be healthy? You have to have fresh foods, organically grown foods if you want to be healthy. Don't we always preach that as a nation? So, why has our government and all of these so called doctors and medical experts, professionals, they have not said anything about diet? They have not said anything about precautions that we can take to strengthen our immune system. They haven't said it. Not at all. Can you say they have another agenda? I'll say it again. They have another agenda. It's not the health of the people. It's something else. Pharmaceutical company is in bed with the government because they're going to make their billions and billions and maybe trillions off of this virus. They don't want you to be healthy because if they wanted you to be healthy, they wouldn't be telling us through the media, through the news, oh, that we need all of these masks and all of these respirators and we need all of these ventilators for these people who already have it and so forth. You know, all of this mass production of all of this equipment, somebody's making money from that. But could you not possibly minimize the amount of production of those things or potential production of a great deal of those things if you teach the people how to properly take care of themselves while they're out here trying to figure out what's going on, when I'm going to get another paycheck, or what am I going to do about the bills that keep cropping up day by day, week by week, or I'm walking down the street and I'm wondering if I'm going to be stopped by the police and ask me where I'm going, placing more stress on myself, or I'm just afraid because no one has given me any information that's of any great consequence to me and my family as to what steps to take other than stay in your house. Somebody is not telling us something, and somebody's not telling us something intentionally. You see, don't fall for the okey doke. Some of you already have. Let me tell you something. When I walk outside of my home, in some areas, it seems very scarce to see people walking the streets. You'll see a car here and there. It's not as much traffic as it was before this took place. But when I walk outside of my home and I look around, and when I go to my business, if I were to see 100 people, let's say I saw 100 people today, I might see out of that 100 people, 5 people with a mask on and gloves. Why is that? Those 5 individuals that's wearing the mask and the gloves are wearing them by choice because that's a matter of their faith or their lack of faith in their belief, in their perception of what's going on. And the vast majority, the 95% that you see that's not wearing it, why don't they have it on? Why have they not made any attempt to put on a mask and gloves? They've had plenty of time before the shortage, that is. Some people, and a great deal of people, believe that the government is up to something and they're not buying it. And that's a beautiful thing. That means that the people are thinking. They know that something is awry, something devious, something treacherous is going on behind the scenes. And we haven't been made privy to it. But it's involving us and it's going to involve us ultimately because we're going to be the ones that's going to pay for it with our ill health in or our lives. You had better start thinking, people. You better think right now. This coronavirus that they call it, they are trying to create a situation where they are going to eventually control all of our movement. Movement means where you go, what you can do, what you can't do, when you can be at home, when you can't be at home, where you can shop at, if you can go to a job or not to a job. If this is not important, you don't go there. They've already controlled us. They've already mandated in many states now that the people are locked down. They are on, and we are on lockdown. What's the implications of being on lockdown? Doesn't it speak for itself? Police and eventually military enforcement of those laws and or rules, all for the protection of the elderly, of the people. Is it really? Or is it something else? I didn't come here today to rant on about nothing. I'm sitting here right now because I want you to really take the scales off your eyes and see things for what they really are. If you're putting a mask on, don't put it on because you see someone else putting it on. If you're putting gloves on, don't put the gloves on just because you see someone else putting them on, or because someone encourages you to do so or tells you to put them on. Ask yourself, why are you putting it on? And do what you haven't done before. Think. Use some common sense. Use some logic. That's one of the faults that many of us have. When you don't study anything, you don't know anything. So you follow what the crowd is doing. So I said that to say this. If I put on a mask right now, and if I put on gloves right now, what have I done to benefit myself? If 95% of the people around me could potentially have someone carrying the coronavirus, and I have a mask on and gloves on, has it protected me completely? How long do I wear the gloves? When do the gloves become contaminated on the outside? Do I scratch a part of my body that's not protected? Do I put it on my clothes, touching my body with the same gloves? Do I adjust the mask while I have the gloves on and the virus is on the gloves? Is the virus on the outside of the mask? And since it is spread by droplet infections from people coughing and it's airborne and so forth, the masks that you see people wearing for the most part are $1, $2 dollar store type masks. That can't keep any infection out. Did you know that? You have to have some very sophisticated and expensive equipment to be halfway effective. A cotton mask is not going to keep an infection out. All it's going to do is give you the illusion that it's protecting you from something. That mask is going to break down eventually. It's only going to be good so long. How many masks do you have to protect yourself? What about your eyes? Your eyes are exposed. Did you not know that your eyes are a gateway for germs and bacteria and viruses as well? They are open and exposed to the environment. You have mucus in your eyes, just like you have mucus in your nose and in your mouth inside your body. Are you thinking about these things? I hope you are. And if you're not, maybe I just opened your ears and your mind to something that you didn't know or you were not aware of. Are you protecting your eyes? I have these reading glasses on. I can put my fingers back here. So, something coming this way, if it's airborne, these glasses are no consequence. It's not going to benefit me because it's in the air, right? It can land on my forehead, on the top of my head. You can't hide from viruses, ladies and gentlemen. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You can't hide from bacteria. You cannot hide from germs because we're constantly always in the environment and we're exposed to it all of the time. But what you can do is build up your immune system and make sure that you are healthy or as healthy as you can possibly be. And that only comes by your diet, by you having a form of exercise, by you strengthening the biology that belongs to you and that belongs to me. If you don't strengthen it, then your immune system will be weak. And when your immune system is weak, it becomes compromised. And it is not only susceptible to the coronavirus, it is susceptible to any virus, to include a cold. Stop blaming it on the coronavirus. We need to start looking no further than the people that we see on the news every day, 24/7, that are trying to sell us these goods about, oh, we need more equipment. Uh, we're going to get a stimulus package, and you're going to get X amount of thousands of dollars a month to help those people who have lost their jobs. And we know people are out there hurting, but they're not hurting. The ones making those statements haven't missed any money. They haven't missed any paychecks. It is the working poor and the dirt poor and the middle class that are hurting and that are going to even hurt more if something is not done. There's going to be chaos, such as we have never seen in America. And it is, I'm sorry to say, deliberate because they have designed it to be thus. I'm not going to stay any longer. This is just to get you to think. What is your take on what's actually going on? Are they trying to break down the financial system? Why have they done what they've done to our economy? They created this by taking people away from their jobs when all they had to do was educate those people on how to be healthy. And the social distance thing, for real, can you really effectively distance yourself from people? What about your family? What about your children? It is impossible in a populated world to distance yourself in your own city, in your own country, effectively enough where nobody catches a virus or a disease. It's impossible. It can't happen unless we all left this planet. That was all I had to say. What say you? This is just something for you to think about. Things are not what they appear to be. Stay up, stay informed, study, protect yourself and your family, even against the atrocities that might be enacted against us by our very own government. I said government. I'm out.